Today, on What It's Like, back at John Kufleitner's, just located right outside of Salem, Ohio, to take a look at one of the best cars to come out of the Malaise era. That's cars made from 1973 to 1983. 1977 Pontiac Trans Am with the paint scheme that's often referred to simply as the Bandit. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. Picture this. You just acquired a car you know nothing about. Perhaps it's a car that big channels just simply don't care for. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars off the beaten path. We dive in deep, period correct ads, as well as specs, and do a full dash tour up close, like you're looking at the gauge for the very first time. If that sounds of interest to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. 1977 Pontiac model lineup. These aren't in any particular order. Astri, Bonneville, Catalina, Grand Prix, Le Mans, Phoenix, Sunbird, Ventura, and then there was the Firebird. Pontiac offered the Firebird from 1967 to 2002 in 4 generations. It's also worth mentioning that Firebird Trans Am hit the scene 2 years later and had a production run from 1969 to 2002 with 4 generations as well. Firebird is broken down into 4 models. You had the Firebird, Firebird Esprit, Firebird Formula, Firebird Trans Am at the top. Built on the F-Body platform, and it is shared with the Chevy Camaro designed by Bill Porter. 1977 is considered second generation, which had a production run from 1970 to 1981. And we're just going to go through them real quick. 1970, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. I could count. Going back to the 76 model right quick, because 77 saw a facelift which featured 4 headlights. Shaker scoop was also revised, and snowflake wheels became optional on all Firebirds and was standard on Y82 appearance packages. While on the topic of appearance packages, let's talk. 1977 Pontiac offered many different appearance options. Formula RPO W50, Skybird RPO W60, Macho Trans Am, Fire Am, Special Edition Appearance Package Black with gold pinstriping RPO Y82, which is also referred to as simply the Bandit car from that legendary movie, Smokey and the Bandit. Real quick, before we move on to the specs, what was the Trans Am? The Trans Am was nothing more than just a specialty package with upgraded handling and suspension components, as well as maybe some slight horsepower increases and appearance modifications. Let's talk specs. 1977 Pontiac Trans Am could only be had in one body configuration, 2-door hardtop coupe, 196.8 inches long, 73 inches wide, 49.1 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 108 inches. It weighs 3,530 pounds. Price, $5,450, which is equivalent to you spending $26,801.41 in the year 2022. 1977 Pontiac production was 850,620 units, of which the total 1977 Firebird Trans Am production was 68,745 units. Let's talk engines. Pontiac technically offered 3 engines in 1977, 2 versions of the 400 cubic inch displacement V8 6.6 liters. They offered the L79, which made 180 horsepower, 325 foot-pounds of torque. If that wasn't enough power, you could get the W72, which was also a 400 cubic inch displacement V8 6.6 liters. It makes 200 brake horsepower, 325 foot-pounds of torque with a compression ratio of 8:1. And the difference between the W72 and the L78 is the W72 had a higher compression ratio. When coupled to a 4-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 with the W72 could be had in 7.7 seconds. It would do the quarter mile in 16 seconds. Average fuel economy would be around 12 to 15 miles per gallon. 118 miles per hour was the theoretical top speed. Moving on to the other engine was a 403 cubic inch displacement Oldsmobile 6.6 liter V8. It's good for 185 horsepower, 320 foot-pounds of torque with a compression ratio of the same, 8-to-1. When coupled to the 3-speed Hydromatic automatic transmission, 110 miles per hour is the theoretical top speed, 0 to 60, 8.6 seconds, quarter mile in 16.6 seconds with an average fuel economy rating of 10.3 miles to the gallon. If you like this channel and you totally dig this episode, hit that like button because it helps more people see this video in the future. So just check out this door panel. There is a lot going on. For one, let's talk about how heavy it is. It is a very heavy door. It's also very big. Like, let me take a step back here so you can see how big this door is. It's absolutely massive. Lots of materials going on. This feels like a leather and or vinyl. Once again, I'm not a material specialist, so I struggle with materials sometimes. Sometimes vinyl feels like leather and vice versa. Anyway, door handle to pull the door shut. This is the armrest to put your arm on while you're driving. Notice there's nice storage areas. You could also use this as a door handle, though I wouldn't recommend it because it feels sturdy enough to pull the door, but then again, sometimes it doesn't because it's just a plastic insert piece. Use the door handle to pull the door shut. Door handle to get out. More storage space inside this. Nice Firebird logo there. Toggle switch style mirror. Coming down inside the pedal box down here. This is the handbrake release and or emergency brake. We call it the emergency brake here in Western Pennsylvania. We have weird names for everything here. This is the actual emergency brake and or parking brake. And this is the release it. The high beam switch is right behind it on the floor, where it should be in my opinion. Brake pedal, gas pedal. Look, this one's got crotch ventilators. That's a ventilator aimed directly at where your crotch would be. Check out these seats. They're nice. I have a friend who has this car, but he has vinyl seats. I've never seen one with velour bucket seats. And let me tell you, these are so comfortable. They're worlds more comfortable than the vinyl seats, in my opinion. Also have a crotch ventilator on the other side, so the other person's crotch can get ventilation. That's what the door sounds like when it shuts. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person looks like. On to the button switches and knobs, starting left and moving right. Headlights at the top, wipers and wash are located just below. Next is the tachometer. Just check out the placement of the clock, which is located inside the tachometer. Oil pressure on top, water temperature on the bottom, turn signals flanking on each side of that gauge. Small plaque just underneath it that says radically tuned suspension. Just in case you forgot. Speedometer, notice it's not just in miles per hour. There's also kilometers per hour in this same gauge. Odometer at the bottom. Fuel, amp gauge, climate controls, fan speed, lighter, rear defroster, door lock, and then just above the defroster and door lock, there are 2 panel vents. AM, FM radio, cassette tape deck just below that. To the left of that is for the CB radio. Drive select modes read park, reverse, neutral, drive, super, and low. Just to the back of that are 2 switches, and those are for the power windows. Here's what I look like. There's not a whole lot of headroom. My hair is touching the top. If you had an afro bigger than what I got, you might feel claustrophobic. I don't feel claustrophobic in this car, but it does feel like a cave because everything is black and dark. And it's just black and dark. That's all I can really say. It definitely does feel cool. And I definitely prefer the velour seats over the vinyl seats. They just cradle you so much better. And it feels like you're sitting in the most comfortable chair that you've ever owned ever. Up above here, we got sun visors, catalytic converter information. Rear view mirror. It has the daytime nighttime feature. It's at the back. Can't really see it. It's just a little switch. Over here there's another sun visor with a courtesy mirror. Glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. This is our camera that we use for all of the cinematic shots, all the up close and personal dashboard shots. And here is our glove box. Oh, look at that. Fits in there just right. And shuts. Getting in the rear seat. There is a handle right here at the bottom of the seat. Pick up on it, push the seat forward. And then it goes like this. Notice the seat belt. You have to avoid it getting in the back. Also notice how the seat back curves up. See how that is? All right, getting in the rear. All right, sitting in the back seat, it's not very comfortable. There isn't hardly any headroom for myself. My head is inside the headliner. I can feel the top of the actual metal roof. Knee space isn't any better. Negative knee space. They're protruding well past this seat. And if I had to shut the door, I would be crammed back here. Just for reference, I am 6'2" tall. I weigh about 215 pounds, wear size 34 waist, and I don't fit back here. Some creature comforts back here worth talking about. There is a coat hook there, ashtray. This one has a really rare feature I've never seen in any other Trans Am. It's got the center console, which gives you another ashtray. So there's 3 ashtrays back here for 2 people. Interesting. This is a rear center console. And I guess it came factory like this. Or at least that's what the owner told us. This is what visibility looks like out the rear, the back glass. Notice the shelf and how wide it is. I can touch the back, but it's pretty wide. If I had to guess, it's probably maybe 1.5 feet wide, possibly big. Here's what back to front view looks like. Everything on the passenger side is also on the driver's side. Coat hook here, ashtray here. Sorry, my legs are in the way. There's nowhere really to put them. There's no space back here. Coming to the rear back here for the under the trunk. So if you notice, there isn't really a keyhole to get in the trunk that you can see because it's hidden. Back here where you put the gas, this flips down and that's where you put the gas, and there's also a keyhole for the trunk. So it's secluded. If you don't know where it is, you don't know. And here's what the trunk looks like. It's got a donut spare back there. It goes up there quite a ways, but the trunk opening is about the size of a Datsun 240Z opening, in my opinion. And the load area is up pretty high. Like, for example, it comes up to my thigh. So if you got this car, you have to lift it up over your thigh and put it in here. Also notice the opening isn't that big either, but you know, you could fit golf clubs in there, no problem. Chairs, go to a car show. I like the fact that it has multiple lights. Like there's light here and there's lights inside here, it looks like, so you can see what you're getting into, and it goes all the way back inside here too. So it's actually a very spacious trunk. Coming to the under the hood section. So if you look around, usually Pontiacs put them here. This one is located right inside here, and you just pull it towards you. There's like a knob, not really a knob, but a handle, almost like a T handle. Pull it towards you, and that pops the hood. And then you just got to find around for the second catch. I lied, there isn't a second catch. This is what the engine looks like. I have no idea, by like the late 70s, for whatever reason, they put a lot of plumbing underneath the hood. Can anybody answer that? Can anybody answer this question? Why did they have all these hoses going everywhere by the late 70s? Like, cars before this did not have hoses going everywhere. Like, I get it. This one's got air conditioning with a nice big air conditioning unit here. Just hoses going everywhere. This is where you fill your coolant overflow tank. Alternator. It's got power brakes, dual master cylinder. This looks like windshield washer. Power steering. Say $100 he goes.
I'm surprised this little Ford didn't go.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting on the on-ramp to get onto the highway. I love the way that this car turns. I don't like the steering wheel. The steering wheel's really small, in my opinion. You could drive this car like you're supposed to drive it and put it in drive and just go. I have it in low, and then you could shift it up to super or drive. We're going about 30 miles an hour. We are turning 2,500 RPM. There's 60. We're turning 3,500 RPM in super, and we're going to put it in drive. We are turning 2,000 RPM at 60 miles an hour. That's really remarkable because it's only a 3-speed transmission.
Pardon me. That's sunset. Please focus. Oh, what a beauty. Look at it reflecting off the hood. Sorry, Jay. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. So that's Zach. He's helping me out with some camera work. I help him out with some camera work. He helps me out. He'll be more on the channel more often.
More frequently.
Yes, more frequently, I should say. We both work at John Kuhfleitner's out in Salem, Ohio. This car is currently for sale. It is a really nice example, probably the nicest driving example that I've ever driven. It stops really well, it drives really well, it drives super straight. Like, don't do this. I'm not telling you to do this, but straight as an arrow. We're not even veering off course. Ride quality of this, it's hard to explain. It's not floaty, but it's not rough. It's somewhere in the middle. It rides a lot like a Plymouth Savoy, like a 62 Plymouth Savoy. And I always go back to that car because that car is really, it's really a marvel, really. That car just drives better than you think. It's not floaty, but it's not harsh either. It's in the middle somewhere. Somewhere in the middle. A lot of people don't know this, but if your brakes go out or whatever, you can use the transmission to stop. So we're in drive right now. I'm going to shift it down to super. You can't feel it through your computer screen, but you can feel it grab. I'm going to put it down in the low, and it really grabs. And then you don't have to hit the brakes as much. All right. Give her
the beans.
Gotta give her the beans here. It's always a good idea to back off a little bit and then shift it up and then push your foot down again. And then back off, shift up. At least that's how I do it. I never had one blow up on me because I did it that way. I used to drive my 67 Mustang like that all the time. I drove it for 5 years like that, never had an issue.
That was so cool looking.
Now it's time for my final thoughts on this car. This car drives absolutely amazing. The seats are very comfortable. It rides smooth, and you look good driving it down the road. This car just made us, both me and Zach, feel like Smokey when we were driving it. It was such a super cool vibe. All right, on to the pros and cons. Pros, you feel like Smokey when you drive it. Super pillow posh seats with velour seats. If you get the vinyl seats, they're not as comfortable in my opinion. They're not bad, but they're not you got to sit in these seats. They're unbelievable. It's almost like sitting in a Lincoln seat, but it's not a Lincoln. It's a Pontiac Trans Am. It's so hard to wrap your mind around how comfortable these seats were, but they just were. Rides and handles great. On the cons, it's not as quick or as fast as you would think. The gauges are a little bit on the small side. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me the correct name of the song as well as band that produced the song, the first person that will give me both correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, leave a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. The second way is check out our Facebook group. It's a way to show off your rides and also get in touch with other people that watch this channel. If you're interested in that, the link will be in the description. And until next time, toodaloo!